Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about a recent Ninjago controversy, I suppose you can call it that, regarding of course the Book of Elemental Powers. The brand new Ninjago book that just hit store shelves, and cutting right to the chase, it's because the final elemental power was not listed in this book like it was previously reported that it would, which of course is, bound to cause a little bit of controversy, stir up a little bit of anger from the Ninjago community, which of course the community is, no stranger to controversy or anger. But I wanted to take this video opportunity to kind of talk about whether or not we were lied to, and what the original description of the Elemental Power book stated about this last elemental power. Now, in terms of the book itself, I went through an entire recap, review, flip through, whatever you want to call it, on my channel, where I showcased every single page, gave my thoughts on it, and nowhere in the book itself is there any mention of a last elemental power or a final element. There's nothing to that degree, it just states the previously existing powers that we already know about, and of course adds some interesting details regarding those specific powers. But the last elemental power is nowhere to be found. There's not even really a final page. The book just kind of abruptly ends, which is causing a lot of Ninjago fans to question whether or not the last elemental power was going to be in this book to begin with. I think we should take a look at the original description of the Book of Elemental Powers that we got at least 9 months ago when this book was first announced. Now, as you can see on the very bottom here, we're not going to read all of this, but the very bottom line states the following: ties in with the upcoming TV series which covers the last elemental power, which is kind of interesting. There are some other sources that say that they were referring to a 2021 season. Obviously, we know that neither The Island nor Seabound actually included the last elemental power in its story, so what exactly is this description talking about? And more importantly, were we actually tricked into buying this book like some people suggested? In terms of Ninjago fans being quote-unquote tricked into buying this book, I'm not so sure about that. The book itself may have gone through many iterations, and at one point in time, maybe a 2021 season was indeed going to cover the last elemental power, but that was obviously shoved for a later release, most likely 2022. I feel like we will still be seeing the last elemental power somewhere in the TV show, but obviously it wasn't this year, so we're probably going to be seeing it next year. In terms of whether or not the book should have actually stated what the last elemental power is, not too sure about that either. I don't think that they should have done that, because then they're spoiling the next season, and like I said, the book may have originally planned to showcase what the last elemental power would be, but of course things change. Again, this was 9 months ago that we got word of the last elemental power even being a thing, and even though it was originally slated to be in this book, like I said, things change, and we really can't do anything to prevent that. In terms of what the last elemental power could be, I think we should go back through the book once again. I have gone through every single page of this book trying to find some type of hint or clue as to what the last elemental power may be, and I did come across something interesting near the creation section. I'll show it on your screen right now. Basically, under the creator of all elements category, it states the following: Master Wu always believed that his father was the creator of all elements, but he recently learned the truth. Before he was born, the powers of water, storm, and wave ruled, and there is still much more we don't know about the elemental powers. So obviously water, storm, obviously being water and lightning, but wave, is that the last element? Could that be some type of clue as to what the last elemental power may be? I know I'm kind of reaching for this one, but that's really all I could find in the book itself that would even suggest a new power that we had not yet heard of before. And in terms of the wave elemental power theoretically being a thing, well, that just kind of sounds like water, unless water is somehow converted to wave, in which case Nia is not the master of water anymore, she's the master of wave. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the last elemental power is going to be something else entirely different than anything in this book. And as I said earlier, I don't feel as though we were lied to in order to buy the book. I don't think that Ninjago fans were tricked into buying this book or anything like that. I've seen a lot of claims that that's the case, and I highly doubt that. What I think happened was, again, maybe this book originally had some plan to introduce the last elemental power, or maybe give us a little bit of a clue or a hint as to what it could be, but ultimately those plans fell through because maybe the TV show shifted around a little bit. Maybe there was supposed to be a final elemental power season going on during 2020 2021, but it got shelved to 2022. The Ninjago series is no stranger to things changing or transitioning from one thing to another. That's something that we really cannot do a whole lot about. But do I think we were lied to as Ninjago fans? Not really. I mean, the book itself is still a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend picking it up because the book itself goes through all of the previously existing powers and provides some new facts about things that we really didn't know all that well after all. It's certainly worth the read, so I would still highly recommend picking it up. It is a cheap book as well, so obviously that's a benefit. You can get a nice Ninjago book with some brilliant artwork for a fair price, but in terms of the last elemental power, yeah, that's nowhere to be found in this book. I thought I was just going crazy, but apparently a lot of you guys also told me that there's no mention of the last elemental power at all. So yeah, the book itself does not contain any mention of the last elemental power, which does not mean we were lied to, just means that maybe something changed at some point in development. I'm personally not too disappointed by this. I mean, that was my primary reason for buying the book, was to learn more about this supposed last elemental power, but I'm not super upset that this theoretical last elemental power was not blatantly given to us or told to us. I would much rather they save that for a surprise down the line, if that's even still what they're going to be doing. Whether this last elemental power be wave or something entirely different, fingers crossed for a cosmic or space power, that's my dream. But ultimately, like I said, you guys, I'm not super upset by this, but I know that some other Ninjago fans are going to be kind of disappointed by this book, because we've been waiting 9 months for this book to be released, and now that it's finally here, there's no mention of the last elemental power at all. I know that's just going to bother some people, but to me personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal, like I said. The book itself is still very much worth picking up. It's a very cheap Ninjago book, only about $10 in the United States, that's not terrible, and obviously in the book itself you get a lot of artwork and a lot of really cool information regarding elemental powers that we already thought that we knew. There's a lot in this book that I personally did not know, so it's definitely worth a buy. At least I'm happy with my purchase. You're not missing much by not buying the book, but there is still a lot to enjoy if you do want to go ahead and grab it. So I would personally recommend it, and in terms of my own thoughts, like I said, even though it is kind of disappointing on the surface, I think I'll be okay moving forward. I'm excited to see what the Ninjago 2022 season has to say about all of this, and until next time, you guys, that's going to pretty much do it for my thoughts here today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below talking about what you think about this. Do you feel like Ninjago fans were lied to or deceived into buying the book, or do you feel like something just changed in the development process and maybe the last elemental power was removed from the book entirely? Leave all your thoughts down below, you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for other forms of social media. As always, big shout out goes out to my Patreon supporters, including once again the marvelous Jan. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video once again. My name is TannerFishies, and with that, I bid you farewell.